Hey folks, it's Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of the Rush Hour podcast with some special weekend content for you. We've got Candace Owens. She's being sued for defamation by the First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron. I'm going to share two different stories for you. One is Candace on Tucker Carlson's podcast, where she says she's looking forward to this court case to get to the discovery mode and unearth new details and defend herself. And then we've got the other side, which is an attorney who's pretty big in the entertainment world, Robert Barnes. He says Candace has 0% chance of prevailing in this thing. I think it's important to share the different sides of this, as we don't have to really speculate too much, because if it's going to trial, we're going to watch it play out in our judicial system in Delaware. That's where Candace has her LLC. So let's get into it. Again, I'm going to share with you Robert Barnes, why he says Candace is going to lose. Now, in the comment section, you'll have people saying, well, you don't understand. We know more than you. This is that, Well, again, this is their opinions and it's all going to play out in court. And again, while you're watching this, I don't know. Let me know. Leave a comment. How does Candace sound? Does she sound as confident as, do you think she's as confident as she sounds? Or does she realize she stepped in a hot one here? So at this point in the interview, she's already explained what we all know to Tucker Carlson, which is, explaining basically a summation of her docuseries, which is that Brigitte Macron was born a man, probably took the identity of his sister, and may or may not be the father of Emmanuel Macron. Was that complicated? I don't think I summed it up all the way. There's a lot of theories, and there's a lot of allegations that have been made. What's interesting is that Tucker Carlson has already received 1.7 million views from this video that premiered yesterday. You can go check out the whole thing as a commentary channel. I'm just going to play this clip where Candace defends the reason why she wants this to go to court. Now, nobody wants to fight for the First Amendment more than I do. And we just have to remember, you cross the line out of the First Amendment when you talk about defamation. And I also mentioned that Brigitte Macron, the way she wins this is to prove she was born a woman and also prove that she gave that information to Candace, right? Because Candace is liable if she was provided enough information to disprove the claims that she's making. If Brigitte Macron never said, hey, you're getting it wrong, then Candace could, operate based on the opinion she has. I've had people respond to me and say, Dave, that's ridiculous. Brigitte Macron doesn't owe Candace anything. To that, I would agree, except she's suing Candace Owens. So what she owes Candace, really, due to this lawsuit, is proving that she tried to tell Candace the truth and Candace isn't listening. The alternative, as Candace sort of hypothesizes, is that Brigitte Macron doesn't want this thing to go to trial. It's a PR stunt. I disagree with that because because it's getting millions of new views. If it's a PR stunt, it's the worst Streisand effect possible. Let's have a listen to what Candace has to say, and then we'll play what Robert Barnes has to say.
This is all of everything that you've said for the past 20 minutes makes me think they'd be crazy to bring this to trial, because that would allow you discovery.
I think they're banking on us dismissing it. I think one of two options.
What does that mean?
You can at first file to dismiss the case because you're going, hi, we have the First Amendment right. This is crazy. It's coming from Paris. I mean, like, why on earth would we honor this at all? Secondly, it's like, are we really going to allow the French president to come in here and like stifle my right to speech?
So that would be a crazy game of chicken if they filed this lawsuit hoping that Candace would try to have it dismissed. That, if you're looking at the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni lawsuit, was the reason why Justin Baldoni didn't want to dismiss the claims, right? Because he wanted to prove himself in court. Candace says here she wants to prove herself in court. And really, most court cases are a game of chicken anyway. Who's going to flinch? And we don't know yet. But again, if Brigitte Macron's side decides to pull out from this case, that would be extremely telling of Candace Owens and her theories. I don't see that happening. It's a real bold play that Candace alleges they're doing this just in hopes that she'll try to get it dismissed, because they bring up enough claims of defamation and they have enough evidence within their defamation suit. Again, they'll have to bring this evidence to court, but they make enough allegations that if you're a judge, I would think this is not grounds for dismissal.
And typically in a normal scenario, a judge would dismiss this case because it's completely crazy.
I don't think so.
And we can obviously then produce the evidence that we asked them these questions and they chose not to reply to them for whatever reason.
I hate to interrupt. I'm seeing Candace looking away when she's doing this. I don't think, and I would love to know if anyone knows more than I do. I'm sure the comment section does. I would love to know. Judges do dismiss most defamation cases, but there's a lot of receipts that are provided within the defamation suit by Brigitte Macron that I just don't see a judge tossing this and not getting it to the discovery phase.
I think they want us to dismiss it. And again, I'm guessing just so they can say, oh, well, we tried. But, America has its own beast and they have actual malice. Or they are going to pretend that Brigitte died from grief. I don't know. Because clearly they're not going to go through discovery, right? If you were going to go through discovery, you would have just published pictures a long time ago and put an end to all the rumors, right? Because then you're going to have to give me proof of this 30-year period where you just kind of...
So you're not...
And in their case, again, we haven't seen the evidence, but Brigitte Macron alleges that in December, they sent Candace all of this proof. We don't know what that looks like. That's why when Candace says they didn't publish it, they didn't publish that proof, but did they send it to her privately? If they can prove they sent her this information privately, Candace Owens is going to owe them a hell of a lot of money.
I'm going to try to have the case dismissed.
I certainly do not want to have the case dismissed.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I've never heard that
we're having these discussions.
Guys, I just want to linger on this for a moment, having been around a lot of lawsuits. I've never heard anybody sued, particularly they're spending a lot of money on this because Tom Clare and his wife have big expenses and I think they charge a lot. I've never heard anybody say, I don't want a well-funded case against me to be dismissed.
Justin Baldoni is in that same case where he doesn't want it dismissed. If you have the resources and you're being sued and you're on the right side, you don't want it dismissed. You want to prove yourself in court. But I understand that it's expensive and whatnot.
It's how I feel. And the reason that I feel that way truly,
amazing.
Tucker, is because this is so much bigger. And we're having those discussions. We've spoken to the lawyer. We want it moved to Tennessee. They filed in Delaware. What's happening here is so much bigger and so much more important for the world.
Delaware, really?
Yeah, which is interesting. Hunter kind of notoriously said, we control the courts in Delaware. But
Fox News found out. Absurd case against Fox News by Dominion. I was not named in it. I got sucked into it. But Tom Clare was involved in that case.
And they're calling the case against the Dominion and Fox News absurd, but Dominion won a $750 million settlement because Fox News made claims that the Dominion was responsible for voter fraud or the system was cooked, which was patently not true. The reason why this case is in Delaware is because that's where Candace's LLC is based out of. A lot of corporations are based in Delaware because of certain rules that I guess are more lax for corporations there. So it'll be interesting if she gets it moved to Tennessee. But again, we're missing that information that Candace's company is based out of Delaware.
And it was in Delaware. And they just had a completely compliant judge. It was just a joke, actually.
Well, that's very interesting because they did file in Delaware, and it is a place where we know that the courts are corrupt. But this would be a kind of precedent that would be, I think, almost even too crazy for Delaware. You're talking about a sitting president of another country coming in and saying, I'm going to sue you for telling the truth. We have truth on our side, right? We actually have truth. So unless he's going to say, blah, 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 I'm not looking at anything and you're going to get no discovery and we're just going to award this person. I mean, you got to give the other side discovery, right?
This is, again, where it's confusing because now Candace is saying the courts in Delaware are corrupt, right? Those are what the claims they're making. And again, it's like, whatever, right? But then she's also saying what are you going to, we're going to have a president suing a journalist? And it's like, hold on a second. You made the accusations that you made against them. Let's take the presidency. Let's take positions of power out of it. For all we know, Candace Owens might be worth more money than they are, right? I have no idea. But Candace she's not some poor journalist just trying to, you know what I mean? She made crazy claims. They say she's full of shit and that they've proven that she's full of shit. Again, I don't know. And that's why I'm excited to see this play out in court. By the way, if you haven't read all the court papers, I know I haven't. It's over 200 pages. I will be reading it tonight. Hit the subscribe button. I'm doing a live stream. 10 p.m. East Coast time, 9 p.m. Central. I'm here in Tennessee. We'll see if we can get Candace to swing by. She might live in my neighborhood. I heard she lives close by. Probably in a nicer neighborhood, probably gated community. But either way, if you want your voice heard, if you think that I'm full of crap and I'm not getting the right side of the story and you want to let me know, or if you agree with my objective sort of take take on this, come to the live stream tonight, 10 p.m. This is Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's probably going to take us a long time, so grab your energy drinks or edibles or whatever your vice is and join us on that live stream as we read through the entire thing. A lot of people have said, Dave, you didn't watch all of Candace's docuseries. I am caught up. I have caught up and consumed all of it, and now I think it is fair. I think we can all agree it is fair, having listened to Candace Owens and the claims she has made. I think it's fair that we now read the full defamation lawsuit, right? We're all about being fair here, calling balls and strikes.
How does Macron collect, as a foreign head of state, how does he collect?
There is nothing that we can look at. We are pioneering this, obviously, because this has never happened in the history of the world, that a sitting president of a foreign country has sued a journalist and a podcaster in another country. It's never happened. So,
now she's just a podcaster.
So we don't know. I didn't even know how we could sue, actually. I thought that you could only sue in a country. I just am learning with everybody else.
And it'll be an expensive school of defamation law.
How this is going to work. But again, speaking of Tom Clare and Dominion, as he was sitting up there giddy with Jake Tapper as these representatives of like the state, because that's what they represent. They represent the state and
of
the
course.
state
Well,
thuggery.
they always represent the state.
But they're
right.
giddy talking about Dominion. Because Jake Tapper sits to him, he's like, and how much did you get from Dominion lawsuit? That's a lot of money. You're going to sue her for all that money. And that tells you who their master is, right?
Oh, I think we knew.
These people are satanic, right?
Okay, this is where you lose me. Get rid of all of that, Candace. Either you're telling the truth or you're not. That's what it's about. So we need to be careful not to say, well, no, but they're satanic. Oh, but they're, Delaware's flawed. Oh, but he's a president. I'm just a podcaster. Bull effing shit on all of that. On all of that. If you are on Candace's side, just hear these words out. You cannot fall for that. And again, I'm not on any sides here because for all we know, Brigitte decides to drop the case and you go, well, if she wasn't willing to prove herself in court, then maybe this was just a PR stunt. I don't believe that to be the case, but I'm open to seeing what plays next. The fact that they have entered this into the court system means it'll either get dismissed by the judge, it'll get dismissed on either end, or this thing's going to trial, right? If they don't pull out of this thing. So that's where it is. None of this satanic bullshit. Oh, the deep state, the judge's tax account, once spoke French in high school. So no. None of that. I believe in the judicial system. I believe that it tries its best. And I believe for the most part, and if you don't like what you're getting out of it, you can file an appeal, and that we have a full system on how this works. But let's not pretend like Fox News was innocent in the election lies they made to Dominion. They had to pay a hefty fine for peddling and misinforming their audience. I'm sorry. This isn't some satanic cabal is out to get Candace Owens right now. This is as fair as it gets, which is the U.S. judicial system. It's not perfect. They get it wrong. But this is as fair as it gets.
Right, that you can't beat me in the arena of truth and facts. So what do you do next? Well, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to destroy your livelihood. You're going to have nothing to your name. And that's why I say this case,
husband's worth $80 million. She's a multimillionaire.
Case matters so much more to me because we can't have this sort of behavior coming from people that are governing us, right? That say, even if you find the truth, even if I am a pervert, even if I got away with sleeping with my student, even though his parents try to take him away, there's nothing you can do about it.
And by the way, that's the defamation suit is Brigitte. It's a bunch of, it's like 21 counts, but is Candace. Look, here's the deal, right? People say, no, the truth is that it was the underage teacher thing. That's not what the lawsuit's about. Right, the lawsuit's about did Candace Owens knowingly call Brigitte Macron a man and knowingly say that Brigitte Macron committed identity theft and knowingly did all these other things, right? It's not just the trans issue, it's the conspiracy surrounding that.
I'm going to impoverish you for even telling people. Like that's what this lawsuit is. I'm going to impoverish you for telling the truth. And they're happy. You got to see, he's like giddy discussing it. And then he turns to the camera, Jake Tapper, and goes, Fox News did this. And how much money did you get? Like, it's totally bizarre. I'm like,
and I'm just as a final reminder, let's not pretend Candace Owens is living in poverty, right? Her and her husband are $100 million family. They are doing very well. They're in a very big position of power here. Maybe they're not worth as much as the Macrons, but she is fully prepared and entitled to fight this case. And if she is on the right side of history, like she says, then she'll become more famous from it. She'll make more money after this, and she'll do just fine. But let's all call a spade a spade. Candace Owens is the top 1% of our country. She is extremely wealthy, and she is not a poor journalist fighting this thing. She'll be perfectly fine.
Also,
so here is Robert Barnes. He's an attorney, has a podcast, dabbles, of course, in the entertainment world. We'd love to have him on. Here he is with Dr. Drew discussing why he thinks she's going to lose. And by the way, if you think I'm leaning on one side or the other side with this, last week I told people, look, I apologize for saying I was going to cover this case without hearing Candace's side. I did all of the homework people asked me to do. So I covered... I consumed, I educated myself on Candace's side. Now we're talking about the parameters of the law. Now we're talking about, was there a moment where Candace didn't cross her T or dot her I? Was there a moment where she was sent information to prove her wrong and she didn't publicly disclose that and she kept on peddling the lies? Was there actual malice? That's what it comes down to right now, not feelings. We always hear from people, get rid of your feelings. This isn't a game of feelings or vibes. This is, did she cross past the First Amendment into defamation? This isn't presidents suing journalists. No, cut the crap on all of that. She's got full agency here. She knew what she was doing. She's a big girl. That's what it is.
of course, on Rumble. Monsieur Robert Barnes. So, what do you think the actual liability is for Candace Owens?
I think she has very little chance of prevailing in the suit based on the venue, based on the allegations in the complaint, unless she's able to prove that the allegations in the complaint are not true, or she has an undisclosed evidentiary source that is persuasive to a judge and a jury. And I think those are going to be big
I'm a little
hurdles.
confused. Stop for a second. Wait. So maybe I'm missing what the complaint is. But does Macron's wife have to prove her sexual identity? Is that what you're talking about? Or does Candace have to talk about the evidentiary process that led to her conclusion?
It's more the latter. And the allegations are that she basically accused Bridget Macron of being the father of Emmanuel Macron. So it's not just, people think it's just the trans thing. It's not. They're suing because she alleges about a dozen crimes, incest, rape, murder, attempted murder, extortion, bribery, blackmail, identity theft, impersonation. I mean,
What?
And by the way, look at Dr. Drew here. He needs a doctor. Can somebody check his blood pressure? Oh boy. And by the way, this is, a lot of people say, well, the YouTubers that were sued by the Macrons in France ended up winning. And that is because you can call somebody trans. That's not the defamatory statement. It's all of the conspiracies that Candace is alleging from the sitting president. It's almost like the more famous you are, the more damning these conspiracies are to allege on somebody, that they're part of this cabal that got elected because there's this ring and all this. And again, I'm not saying it's all fairy tales. I'm just saying, I don't see the math being shown here. And by the way, when it comes to the rich, the elite, the people that are in private schools, those that know the royal family, when it comes to the access that you have when you go to the Ivy League schools, and they all do know each other, the rich, right? And they all are in positions of power. So I'm not saying there aren't connections, but it's like, are those connections the cabal, the centuries-year-old, I think she called them Frankists, right? These different organizations. I don't know. It reads well. It definitely piques your interest and makes you feel like there's something there. And that's the problem with conspiracies. It makes you feel like, yeah, but did you connect the dots? It's like, okay, maybe, but we need to test this out in the world of reality.
What is she doing?
When I read through it, I've done a lot of defamation and libel cases, successfully represented Robert Kennedy, successfully represented the Covington kids. I've defended people, a wide range of it, that helped Alex Jones deal with everything that was happening on the Sandy Hook cases, on certain constitutional issues, not the rest of the case. But I was looking through it, I was thinking, is there a way to defend this? And it was like, No, the really her only defense is to is to say she didn't say it. That's honest to God. That's the only.
Or the defense is that Candace is right. We have to remember, give credit to Candace here. She believes she wants to stake her entire reputation on this. If Candace is right, then she put 2 feet down and did the bravest thing out there. She risked it all to expose the truth. I don't know. Is she sleeping well at night?
Defense I could come up with is that it was another Candace Owens. I always make a joke. I was on a live stream with Alan Dershowitz once, and he kept calling me Paul. And so anytime I get into trouble, I say, I didn't say it. It was my evil twin, Paul. That's who did it.
It was Paul. It was Paul.
Yeah, it was definitely Paul. Paul did it. I had nothing to do with it. But it is unbelievable. And what I've been warning people is the lawsuit is being brought by the law firm that represented Dominion, big libel law firm. It's clear they're planning on going after a bunch of other people. They mentioned in the suit anybody who platformed Candace on this, and this includes big names. It includes Theo Vaughn, it includes Tim Dillon, it includes Clayton Morris of Redacted. They even name-dropped Joe Rogan, that they're looking at potentially suing Joe Rogan for simply, recycling this story. So I think she went way too far, unless, like I said, maybe she's got, high-end French intelligence that has the super secret intel that this is the scandal of the century.
It's the Russians. Maybe the Russians sent her something. They have a dossier they got to her. Who knows?
Unless she has that, unfortunately, I think she's dead to rights. I said she has 0% chance of winning on all of the defamation claims. They basically allege about 120 or 125 different false factual statements, about a dozen or so crimes that they were accused of. I think she's done for, especially in Delaware.
Wow. I mean, look, there it is. When I talk about this, I sound so defensive because I do try to dabble in the comment sections, and you do get people that come out real strong. You didn't read what we saw. You didn't do this. And it's like, listen, when you make a neurological connection, like Candace Owens does a really good job of sharing a story and then sort of slowly feeding you along the story. It's the same way a stand-up comedian will drop a punchline after setting up a premise. The same thing that happens with a joke being accepted in your brain is the same thing that happens when you piece together a conspiracy theory. It's the same thing that happens after you solve a complex math problem. That being the lightning bolt that goes from the cloud, the premise, to the ground, the punchline. That lightning bolt is a neurological connection, that aha moment. Oh, so as Candace shares this story, and then now look at this picture. Oh, you're right. That must be the daughter. That's that neurological moment that's very hard to break because everyone in the comment section says, you don't know until you know. You have to see it. You got to read between the lines. And it's like, maybe, but Candace Owens won't need to read between the lines. She'll have to provide her proof that she's telling the truth, and then it'll be sort of stress test between Brigitte Macron's proof that she told Candace why she was wrong. We'll have to see how this plays out. And now, I don't make predictions on this because I have no idea what Candace knows. I would just think if she had all of the information, like the real solid information, she would have shared it already. But at the same time, Brigitte Macron, maybe it's because they didn't want to have to take it this far, hasn't done this like tweeted her blood sample test or whatever. And I know people say, that's crazy, she shouldn't have to do that. I understand. But now in the world of the defamation case, it will very much help her case here against Candace. So just be wary as we check this out. If Candace is going to be a damsel in distress, complain that she's getting targeted by the satanic cult. They're coming after her because she's Catholic. They're coming after her because she's a truth teller. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Did you tell the truth or did you not? Did you knowingly not tell the truth? That's what it comes down to. 10 p.m. East Coast time tonight. I'll be checking this out. I've got more Justin Baldoni content coming next, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you then. If you enjoy this content, during the week, I have a morning and afternoon episode of the Rush Hour podcast, 30 minutes morning, 30 minutes afternoon. All of your entertainment and pop culture news, along with politics, in one place. Just search the Rush Hour wherever you listen to your podcast or catch it right here on YouTube. We'll see you later. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.